Hello everybody, I am Lal and welcome back to SJ, where we share sustainability tips, tricks, hacks, products, brands and stories to better our blue planet. And today we are talking about zero waste tips, more accurately described as low waste tips. Now, we've previously done a low waste swaps video, which is more focused on choosing eco-conscious products and consumables over conventional options. And, tips can include product swaps. It is a little more broad in that it is related to more general sustainable habits and practices. If you're watching this, I'm sure there's very little point in me preaching to the choir, quoting a bunch of stats to give you the motivation on why this is something you should pay attention to. But what I will say is that small changes matter. Incremental improvements over time, progress over perfection, and all that jazz. I think it's useful if we break this list up into the 5 R's coined by Zero Waste OG Beer Johnson. That way, I hope I can illustrate to you the many ways in which we can all make a small incremental effort to ensure our planet doesn't become a dumpster fire. They are: refuse what you don't need, reduce what you do need, reuse by repurposing or repairing items or by using reusables, recycle what you cannot refuse, reduce, or reuse, and rot the rest. That is, compost the rest. Let's go. Number 1, refuse what you don't need. Now, this is a big bang for buck category, and there's a lot here. In fact, it could be its own video easily, so I'm just going to stick with some highlights, but I'll link to a deeper dive below for more context. You want to refuse, as starters, as many single-use items as you can and replace them with reusables. All the obvious things like plastic water bottles and takeaway coffee cups, plastic grocery bags, plastic cutlery and straws, napkins, paper towels, sandwich bags, plastic food wraps, razors, deodorants, period care, beauty, personal care, toothpaste, floss, food storage containers, plastic sponges. There are fantastic reusable options for all of those and more single-use consumables these days. It's too easy not to make those swaps. The other aspect of refuse is a little more directed towards our relationship with buying stuff, i.e. consumption in general, as in, do you need to buy the thing? Is it a need or a want? Is that 7th pair of bell bottoms really necessary? Retail therapy is fun for the day, I totally agree, but it's not so fun for the planet for a long time. We could also easily do a whole video on this topic by itself and delve into the reasons behind mindless consumption, dopamine hits, and the concept of minimalism. But for the sake of this takeaway, if you're thinking of buying something, just ask yourself, is this a need or a want? Keeping that simple framing in mind and practicing it consistently, I promise you will have an enormous impact on your buying habits. Number 2, reduce what you do need. It's a little different to refuse what you don't need in that, for example, you need clothes and a mobile phone and food and cleaning products, but we could all probably cut down on the amount of, say, new homewares or accessories we're buying, and maybe cut back on the frequency we upgrade to the latest smartphone. And we could probably buy a lot more food and other products in bulk, or get a refill service than going straight to the grocery store where plastic is ubiquitous. It's really about simplifying, minimalizing, and reducing unnecessary consumption and, by extension, waste. Number 3 is reuse what you already have. Reusing is a well underappreciated means to reduce waste and save a lot of money. Jars are a good and obvious example. I know there's only so many jars one can keep, but you'll be surprised to learn the variety of uses they can have around the home. You can use them to stock up on bulk goods and store prepared meals and snacks. That's obvious. Sometimes I use them for smoothies. For more DIY, you can also turn them to candle holders, flower vases, pen holders, and craft supply storage. Not that I've personally done those ones. Or you could learn to repair things. Clothing, textiles, sometimes even just a stick of good old glue will get you another few months with minimal DIY capabilities and credentials. This just adds that much more life to an old faithful. I'll link to a video that Amber did where she gives some really great tips on how to go about fixing up or upcycling old duds. Otherwise, shopping secondhand for me has been huge. The things I pretty much buy new these days are just underwear and just socks. You can still buy socks secondhand though. For me, maybe that's a line. I might get the odd gift though of a new running shirt or sweater, but if I'm buying, I'm exclusively going to thrift stores. They're relatively cheap. The options are, of course, depending on where you go, pretty excellent. And sometimes you'll find some serious gems. Like these 501s I picked up for about $15. Number 4 is rot, as in compost. Humans throw away a staggering amount of organic compostable waste, over 60% of waste output in the US, in fact. I know this practice is not very sexy, but the benefits of composting are huge. Without going into the specifics, just know that by doing some home composting, you'll be reducing greenhouse gas emissions from sending organic matter to anaerobically break down in landfills. You'll be sequestering carbon by adding it to the soil. You'll be increasing your soil health as compost becomes nutrient-rich material called humus. And you'll also potentially be remediating soil if there's contamination from stormwater, streams, drains, or reservoirs that have volatile organic compounds. And everyone can do it, okay? You can do it in your yard, you can do it on your balcony, you can even do it indoors, thanks to some very clever little indoor compost bins. It's just a great little habit that has an enormous upside for not that much effort. Number 5, recycle. Short of sending something to the landfill, this is the last resort, as in reserve recycling for items that cannot be refused, reduced, or reused. There will inevitably be some items that you need to recycle, but if you can, try to only buy items that come in easy to recycle packaging like cardboard, glass, and aluminum. And check your local recycling rules just because they're not all the same. And because importantly, contamination is often due to wish cycling. That is putting an item in the recycling bin and hoping it'll be recycled when actually your local council does not in fact accept plastic. Number 7, which could mean that an entire lorry load of recycling is rejected and has to be landfilled or incinerated instead. So if in doubt, just leave it out. And so that's it. So what's the takeaway here? Well, there are so many little ways, hacks, tips, tricks, ideas to bring sustainability into your life. Look, some admittedly require more effort and thought and intention than others, but really there is a smorgasbord of ways in which we can all contribute to keeping our planet from becoming a dumpster fire. My advice, just pick one. Just one. Do it today, do it tomorrow, do it for the rest of the week. And once you don't even have to think about it, you just do it, add another, and then another, and then another. I will add links to all the resources I mentioned, and I would love to know from you what sustainable tips and tricks and hacks and habits are baked into your lifestyle. Which ones are easy? Which ones are you struggling with? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, friends. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, all the buttons if sustainable living is your thing. I'm Lyle from SJ. Much love. And wishing you green habits every day.